I never thought the person who would cause the most damage to my relationship would be my own mother. The woman who raised me, who I thought would be my biggest supporter. But here I am, 3 months away from what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and I'm sitting in my car, mascara running down my face, wondering if I'll even make it to the altar. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. It all started when Marcus proposed. We'd been together for 4 years, and I knew he was the one from our 3rd date when he brought me soup when I was sick with the flu. Not just any soup. He'd called my best friend to find out my favorite, then drove 40 minutes to the only place in the city that made it just right. That's the kind of man Marcus is. Thoughtful, considerate. The opposite of my father, who left when I was 7 without so much as a goodbye. Maybe that's why my mother, Sofia Rivera, has always been overprotective. For 20 years, it was just the two of us against the world. Through my awkward teenage years, college applications, my first heartbreak, she was there, my rock. So when Marcus got down on one knee at the botanical gardens where we had our first date, my first thought after yes was how excited I was to tell my mother. I couldn't have been more wrong. When we arrived at her house that evening, engagement ring sparkling on my finger, her face didn't light up with joy. Instead, her smile faltered, her eyes narrowed, and she said the 6 words that would haunt our engagement. "Are you sure about this, Zara?" Not congratulations. Not welcome to the family, Marcus. Just doubt, packaged in a question that felt like a slap across the face. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, a silent gesture of support. I brushed it off, telling myself she was just surprised, that she would come around, that this was a momentary lapse in the otherwise unshakable support she'd always shown me. I had no idea it was just the beginning. The next day, she called me 5 times while I was at work. When I finally called her back on my lunch break, she launched into a monologue about how I was rushing into things, and how marriage isn't something to take lightly. As if I hadn't spent 4 years building a life with Marcus. As if I didn't know my own heart. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I love him. He loves me. We're good together." "Love fades, Zara," she replied, her voice carrying the weight of her own failed marriage. "You need more than love to make a marriage work." "We have more than love," I insisted. "We have respect, communication, shared goals. Does he know? About your student loans? About how much debt you're bringing into this marriage?" The question stung. Of course Marcus knew about my student loans. We'd had the financial talk years ago. We'd even made a 5-year plan to pay them off together once we combined households. But my mother wasn't done. "And what about children? Have you discussed that? Because he seems like the type who would want kids right away, and you've always said you wanted to establish your career first." It was true. Marcus comes from a large family and has always talked about having at least 3 kids. And yes, I had once mentioned wanting to climb the corporate ladder before starting a family. But we'd talked about it. We'd compromised. 2 kids, starting in our early 30s, giving me time to secure a management position first. These were private conversations between Marcus and me. Conversations I'd shared with my mother in confidence, never imagining she would weaponize them against my happiness. The wedding planning only made things worse. What should have been a joyful experience turned into a battlefield. Every decision became a power struggle. My mother questioned every vendor I chose, criticized every design element, and constantly reminded me how much money was being wasted on just one day. When I selected a venue, a charming rustic barn that perfectly matched the autumn aesthetic, "We wanted," she scoffed and said it was trying too hard to be Pinterest-worthy. When I showed her the bridesmaid dresses, burgundy to complement the October leaves, she suggested they made my friends look washed out and recommended navy instead. Navy, for an autumn wedding. When I gently explained why that wouldn't work with our color scheme, she sighed dramatically and said, "Well, it's your wedding. If you want your photos to look mismatched, that's your choice." Marcus noticed my growing distress. "Maybe we should elope," he suggested one night as I lay crying, on our bed after another exhausting phone call with my mother. "Just you and me on a beach somewhere. No drama, no stress." The idea was tempting, so tempting, but I knew it would irreparably damage my relationship with my mother. Despite everything, she was still my only parent. The woman who had worked 2 jobs to put me through college, who had taught me to be strong, independent, resilient. So I persisted, hoping things would improve. They didn't. The breaking point came during what should have been a simple family dinner to introduce our parents. Marcus's parents flew in from Chicago, warm, welcoming people who hugged me like I was already their daughter. They brought thoughtful gifts, a hand-knitted throw for our new apartment, a bottle of champagne to celebrate, and a family recipe book with a note that read, "Welcome to the family, Zara." My mother arrived 20 minutes late, offered a limp excuse about traffic, though she only lived 15 minutes away, and brought nothing but a cloud of tension that hung over the table all evening. Throughout dinner, she found subtle ways to undermine Marcus. She questioned his job security as a graphic designer. Such a volatile industry, isn't it? She raised eyebrows at his mention of wanting to move to the suburbs in a few years. Zara has always been a city girl. She even managed to bring up his brief relationship with a coworker before he met me, information I had shared with her in private. By the time dessert arrived, Marcus's parents were exchanging concerned glances, and Marcus himself had grown quiet, his usual charismatic energy dimmed by my mother's relentless jabs. In the restroom later, Mrs. Chen, Marcus's mother, gently placed her hand on my arm. "Zara, dear," she said, her eyes kind but concerned. "Is your mother always like this?" I felt my face flush with embarrassment. "She's just protective," I said weakly. "She'll come around." Mrs. Chen nodded, unconvinced. "Well, for what it's worth, we think you're wonderful, and we've never seen Marcus happier than when he's with you." Her words should have brought comfort, but they only highlighted the stark contrast between how our families were approaching this union. One with open arms, the other with clenched fists. After the Chens left, I confronted my mother in the restaurant parking lot. "What was that about?" I demanded, no longer able to contain my frustration. "Why can't you just be happy for me?" I am happy for you," she insisted, her voice defensive. "I just want you to be sure. Marriage is forever, Zara." "No, it's not," I snapped back. "You and Dad proved that." The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them. My mother's face crumpled, and for a brief instant, I saw the pain she'd carried all these years, the abandonment, the struggle, the fear of watching her only daughter potentially face the same fate. "Mom, I'm sorry," I began, but she was already turning away, fishing her car keys from her purse with trembling hands. "Just remember," she said, not looking at me, "when things fall apart, I'll be the one picking up the pieces, not his perfect family with their perfect lives." She drove away, leaving me standing alone in the parking lot, the gulf between us wider than ever. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. In the days that followed, Marcus and I had our first real fight about my mother. We were sitting on our couch on a Sunday morning, wedding invitations spread out on the coffee table, when he finally said what he'd clearly been holding back for months. "Your mother doesn't want us to get married, and you're not doing anything about it." His words hit me like a physical blow. "That's not fair," I protested. "What am I supposed to do? Cut her out of my life?" "Of course not," he said, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "But you could stand up to her, set some boundaries. Make it clear that her behavior is putting a strain on our relationship. He was right, and I knew it, but knowing what? To do and actually doing it are two very different things. She's my mother, I said weakly. And I'm going to be your husband, he countered. We're supposed to be a team, Zara, but every time she undermines me, questions our relationship, or tries to control our wedding, you let her. And honestly, it makes me wonder if you'll ever truly choose us, choose me over her. Me over her. Me. The implication was clear, and it terrified me. Was I going to lose Marcus because I couldn't stand up to my mother? Was I doomed to repeat the pattern, not of my father's abandonment, but of my mother's fear-driven control? That night, I called her. I had rehearsed what I would say, practiced a firm but loving approach to setting boundaries. But when she picked up the phone and immediately launched into criticism about the invitations I had texted her photos of earlier. Gold foil? Really, Zara? So tacky. All my carefully prepared words evaporated. Instead, I found myself apologizing. Again. Placating her. Again. Promising to think about her suggestions. Again. When I hung up, Marcus was standing in the doorway of our bedroom, his expression a mixture of disappointment and resignation. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His silence spoke volumes. The next morning, I woke up to find his side of the bed empty. On the kitchen counter was a note. Gone to stay with Jake for a few days. Need some space to think. I love you, but I can't keep competing with your mother for the rest of our lives. That's how I ended up here, sitting in my car outside my mother's house, tears streaking my face, engagement ring feeling suddenly heavy on my finger. Through the window, I can see her moving around her kitchen, probably making her Sunday afternoon tea. Unaware that her daughter's relationship is hanging by a thread because of her inability to let go. I have a choice to make. Right here. Right. Now. Do I go inside and have the conversation I should have had months ago? Do I finally stand up for my relationship? For the future I want with Marcus? Or do I drive away, call him, and tell him I understand why he needs space, because I'm not sure I can ever be the partner he deserves? My phone buzzes with a text from him. I still want forever with you, Zara. But it has to be our forever, not your mother's version of it. I take a deep breath, wipe my tears, and reach for the door handle. It's time to find out if I have the courage to choose love over fear, to break the cycle my mother has been trapped in since my father left. It's time to fight for my happily ever after, even if the person I have to fight is the woman who taught me how to be strong in the first place. What I don't know yet is that the conversation I'm about to have will change everything, and not in the way I expect. Because my mother has been keeping secrets that explain her behavior but might also destroy what little trust remains between Marcus and me. Secrets that, once revealed, can never be unheard. And as I walk up the path to her front door, heart pounding in my chest, I have no idea that by this time tomorrow, I'll be faced with the most impossible choice of my life. My heart pounds as I knock on my mother's front door. 3 sharp raps that echo my racing pulse. For a moment, I consider turning around, driving back to our empty apartment, and calling Marcus to beg him to come home. But that would just be delaying the inevitable. Some battles you can't run from. The door swings open, and there she is. The woman who gave me life, taught me strength, and is now threatening my future happiness. Zara? Her eyebrows lift in surprise. I wasn't expecting you today. Then she notices my red-rimmed eyes, the streaks of mascara on my cheeks. What's wrong? Come in, come in. I follow her into the familiar living room where I grew up, where photos of me at various ages line the walls. Graduation portraits, dance recitals, my college acceptance letter framed next to a picture of us hugging. A shrine to my achievements, or perhaps to her success as a single mother. Is it Marcus? She asks, her tone already carrying an undercurrent of, "I told you so." "Yes," I say, my voice surprisingly steady. "But not in the way you think." I sit on the edge of the couch, hands clasped tightly in my lap. "He's gone, Mom. He went to stay with his friend because he needs space. From us. From our relationship?" For a fleeting moment, something like satisfaction crosses her face before she schools her expression into one of maternal concern. It's so quick I almost miss it, but it's enough to ignite something in me, a spark of anger that quickly blazes into fury. "And you know what the problem is?" I continue, not waiting for her response. "The problem is you. Your constant criticism, your undermining comments, your refusal to support our relationship." "Zara," she gasps, hand flying to her chest. "How can you say that? Everything I've done has been to protect you." "Protect me from what?" I demand. "From a kind, loving man who treats me with respect? From a stable relationship built on honesty and communication? From happiness?" She sinks into her armchair, the one she's sat in every evening for as long as I can remember. Grading papers? She's been an elementary school teacher for 30 years. Or watching her crime shows, or, more recently, criticizing my wedding plans. "You don't understand," she says, her voice suddenly small. "Marriage. It changes people. It makes them reveal who they truly are." "This isn't about marriage in general, Mom. This is about my marriage. My future with Marcus. And if you can't support that, then I don't know how you can be part of it." The words hang in the air between us, an ultimatum I never thought I'd deliver. For a long moment, she says nothing, just stares at her hands folded in her lap. When she finally looks up, there are tears in her eyes. "Sit down," she says. "There's something I need to tell you." A chill runs through me. Whatever this is, I know it's not going to be good. "Your father didn't leave us," she begins, her voice barely above a whisper. "I made him leave." The world tilts on its axis. "What?" "Robert wasn't the man I thought I married. After you were born, he changed. Or maybe he just revealed who he truly was. Either way, it wasn't what I signed up for." "What are you talking about? Dad abandoned us. He walked out without a word. You've told me that story for 20 years. She shakes her head slowly. "That's what I wanted you to believe. It was easier than the truth." "Which is what, exactly?" My voice rises with each word. "Your father had an affair with Marcus's mother." The words hit me like a physical blow. I can't breathe. Can't think. Can't process what she's just said. "That's not possible," I finally manage. "Mrs. Chen is happily married. They've been together for 30 years. "Yes, they have," my mother agrees. "And 30 years ago, she made a choice. Her marriage over, her affair. Your father wanted her to leave her husband. When she refused, he took it badly. Started drinking heavily. Became someone I didn't recognize." She draws a shaky breath. "Someone I couldn't have raising my daughter." My mind races, desperately searching for holes in this story. "Marcus and I met by chance, at a coffee shop, 4 years ago. Did you?" The question hangs between us. "Or did his mother orchestrate a chance meeting once she learned who you were? I ran into her at a teacher's conference 6 months before you two met. I had your photograph on my phone. She saw it. The implications crash over me in waves. Was our entire relationship built on a lie? Some twisted attempt at reconciliation or, worse, revenge?" "You're making this up," I whisper, but doubt has already taken root. "You're lying to keep us apart." "Ask her," my mother says simply. "Look her in the eye and ask Vivian Chen if she knew who you were before you met her son." I'm on my feet before I realize I've decided to move. "If this is true," I say, my voice shaking with rage and betrayal, "why didn't you tell me as soon as I introduced you to Marcus? Why wait until now, 3 months before our wedding? I didn't know at first, she protests. It's a common enough last name. But then at that dinner, when I saw her face, heard her voice, she trails off. I've spent decades trying to forget that woman's face, but some things stay with you. And when I saw how she looked at you, with this strange mix of guilt and triumph, I knew. So the constant criticism, the undermining, the attempts to control everything, that was your way of protecting me. The anger bubbles up again, hotter than before. You could have told me your suspicions. We could have talked about it like adults. Would you have believed me? She challenges. Or would you have accused me of trying to sabotage your happiness, just like you're doing now? She has a point, and it infuriates me even more. Because the truth is, I probably wouldn't have believed her. I would have seen it as another attempt to control my life, to keep me dependent on her. I need to go, I say, grabbing my purse. I need to talk to Marcus. Zara, wait. She reaches for my arm, but I pull away. Don't you see? If I'm right, if his mother did orchestrate your meeting, what does that say about him? Did he know? Has he been lying to you too? The question stops me cold, because it's the same question echoing in my mind. Did Marcus know who I was all along? Has our entire relationship been some elaborate deception? Elaborate deception? No, I refuse to believe that. Marcus is genuine, honest to a fault. If he had known, he would have told me, wouldn't he? I guess I'll find out, I say, heading for the door. But Mom, even if this is all true, the affair, the orchestrated meeting, it doesn't excuse how you've treated Marcus, how you've treated us. If you were really concerned, you should have sat me down and told me the truth from the beginning. She follows me to the door, her face a mask of worry. Call me when you've talked to him, she pleads. Whatever happens, I'm here for you. But are you? I think, but don't say. Have you ever really been here for me, or just for yourself? The drive to Jake's apartment, where I know Marcus is staying, feels endless. My mind churns with questions, scenarios, imagined. Confrontations. What will I say to him? How do I even begin this conversation? When I finally park outside Jake's building, my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Be careful. Remember who's always been there for you? I ignore it and head inside. Jake answers the door, surprise evident on his face. Zara? Hey. He glances, over his shoulder. Let me get Marcus. Moments later, Marcus appears, looking tired but cautiously happy to see me. I didn't expect you today, he says. We need to talk, I tell him. Alone. Jake makes himself scarce, and Marcus invites me in. We sit awkwardly on Jake's leather couch, the space between us charged with unspoken words. I went to see my mother. I begin. His expression hardens slightly. And she told me something I need to ask you about. I take a deep breath. Do you know who my father is? The question clearly catches him off guard. Robert Rivera, right? He left when you were young, yes? But did you know him? Or rather, did your mother know him? Marcus frowns, confusion etched across his features. My mother? No, why would she? I study his face carefully, looking for any sign of deception. But all I see is genuine bewilderment. Because according to my mother, your mother had an affair with my father 30 years ago. His eyes widen in shock. What? That's crazy. My parents have been married forever. My mom would never. And there's more, I continue, the words painful to speak aloud. She thinks your mother orchestrated our meeting, that it wasn't a coincidence. Understanding dawns on his face, followed quickly by anger. So that's why she's been so against us. She thinks I'm what, part of some revenge plot? Are you? The question slips out before I can stop it. The hurt that flashes across his face is answer enough. How can you even ask me that? He demands. 4 years, Zara. 4 years of building a life together, And you think I've been lying to you the whole time? No, I say quickly. No, I don't. But I had to ask. He stands, pacing Jake's small living room. This is exactly what I was talking about. Your mother makes some wild accusation, and instead of questioning her, you bring it straight to me, like I'm the one who needs to defend myself. She's my mother, I say weakly. And I'm supposed to be your partner, he shouts, then catches himself, lowering his voice. We're supposed to be a team, Zara, but at the first sign of trouble you let her drive a wedge between us. He's right, and the realization fills me with shame. I came here half believing my mother's story, ready to accuse the man I love of deception, without a shred of evidence beyond her word. I'm sorry, I whisper. You're right. I should have trusted you. Marcus sighs, sitting back down beside me. It's not about blind trust. It's about giving me the benefit of the doubt. About considering that maybe, just maybe, your mother isn't always right. He takes my hand. Look, I don't know if what she told you about the affair is true, but I can promise you, I had no idea who you were when we met. And neither did my mother. I nod, squeezing his hand. I believe you. But that's not enough, is it? He says quietly. Because this is going to keep happening. Your mother is going to keep finding ways to come between us unless something changes. I know, I admit. And I'm ready to make that change. I take a deep breath. I've decided to postpone the wedding. Pain flashes across his face. Zara, not because I don't want to marry you, I clarify quickly, but because I need to sort things out with my mother first. I need to establish boundaries. And frankly, I need to find out if what she told me about the affair is true. How will you do that? By talking to your mother, I say simply. Face to face, woman to woman. If there was an affair, if she did recognize me when we met, I deserve to know. Marcus is quiet for a long moment. Then he nods. Okay, I'll call. Her. Set it up. No, I shake my head. I need to do this my way, and I need to do it alone. He studies my face, searching for something. Reassurance, perhaps, or determination. Whatever he's looking for, he seems to find it, because he nods, again. All right, but promise me one thing. What's that? Whatever you discover, whatever the truth turns out to be, it's about our future, not their past. Don't let old ghosts determine our happiness. I lean forward, pressing my forehead against his. I promise. 3 days later, I sit in a quiet cafe waiting for Vivian Chen. I've rehearsed what I'll say, the questions I'll ask, but my mind still races with uncertainty. Will she admit to knowing who I was? Will she confess to the affair? And if she does, what then? The bell above the door jingles, and she walks in, elegant as always in a simple blue dress. She spots me immediately, her expression guarded, but not unwelcoming. Zara, she says, sliding into the seat across from me. Marcus said you wanted to talk. Yes. I take a steadying breath. About my father, Robert Rivera. Her face pales slightly, and I have my answer before she speaks a word. But I need to hear it from her. Did you know him? I press. 30 years ago? She closes her eyes briefly, then meets my gaze directly. Yes, she admits softly. I knew him. The confirmation hits me harder than I expected. And did you have an affair with him? A long pause. Then, yes. A brief one. The biggest mistake of my life. Did you know who I was when Marcus and I met? At this, she looks genuinely startled. No. Zara, is that what you think? That I somehow engineered your relationship with my son? She shakes her head vigorously. I had no idea who you were until that dinner with your mother. When she looked at me, I knew she recognized me. And then I realized who you must be. Relief washes over me. So it really was just coincidence? Marcus and I meeting? Complete coincidence, she affirms. Or fate? Perhaps, but not manipulation. I sit back, processing this. My mother thinks you orchestrated everything. Vivian sighs. Sophia always did have a flair for drama. What happened between Robert and me was wrong, inexcusable. But it was brief, and it was 30 years ago. She leans forward. Zara, I've spent decades atoning for that mistake. Building a strong marriage, raising my children with love and integrity. One mistake doesn't define a life. Her words resonate deeply. One mistake doesn't define a life. My mother has defined herself by my father's betrayal for 30 years. She's let it shape every decision, every relationship, including ours. What happened with my father? I ask. After you ended it? Sadness crosses her face. He didn't take it well, started drinking, became erratic. Your mother was right to ask him to leave. She hesitates. But Zara, she didn't just ask him to leave her. She demanded he leave you too. Complete separation. He wasn't allowed to contact you, to send letters, nothing. This new revelation stuns me. She told me he abandoned us. He abandoned your mother, Vivian corrects gently. Never you. He tried to reach out for years. Birthday cards, child support, checks, all returned. Eventually, he stopped trying. Tears fill my eyes. All those years thinking my father hadn't cared enough to stay in touch, when in reality, my mother had systematically cut him out of my life. The betrayal cuts deep. Why are you telling me this? I ask, voice thick with emotion. Because you deserve the truth, she says simply. And because I've seen how much Marcus loves you, I don't want the past, my past, to destroy what you two have built. She reaches across the table, taking my hand. Don't let Sophia's fear become your fear. Don't let her pain become your pain. I nod, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. And Zara? She adds softly. If you want to, I can help you find your father. He's still alive, living in Arizona. Now? The offer hangs between us, a chance to reclaim a part of my history I thought was lost forever, a chance to hear his side of the story. Later that night, I returned to our apartment to find Marcus waiting, concern etched on his face. Without a word, I walk into his arms, holding him tight. How did it go? He asks. There was an affair, I confirm. But she didn't know who I was when we met. And there's more. Much more. But the important thing is, I believe her. I pull back to look at him. And I believe in us. Relief washes over his features. So where do we go from here? I take a deep breath. First, I need to confront my mother. Set some real boundaries. Make it clear that while I love her, I won't let her manipulate me anymore. And then? A small smile tugs at my lips. And then we plan our wedding. Our way. No interference, no drama. What about your mother? Will you invite her? It's the question I've been wrestling with since leaving the cafe. Yes, I decide, because, despite everything, she's still my mother. But she'll be there as a guest, not as a decision maker. And she'll respect our choices, or she won't be part of our lives moving forward. Marcus nods, understanding the weight of this decision. And, your father? Will you reach out to him? I think so. Not right away, but soon. I lean my head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. One step at a time, he kisses the top of my head. I'm proud of you, you know that. Standing up for yourself, for us, it's not easy. No, I agree. But it's necessary. I look up at him, seeing our future reflected in his eyes. Love means making hard choices sometimes. And I choose you. I choose us. As I say the words, I feel something shift inside me, a weight lifting, a chain breaking. For 30 years, my mother has carried her pain like a shield, using it to keep others at a distance, to control the narrative of her life, and mine. But I don't have to inherit her fears. I don't have to repeat her patterns. Tomorrow, I'll face her again. I'll tell her what I've learned, what I know. It won't be easy. There will be tears, recriminations, perhaps even a temporary breach in our relationship. But it's a necessary step toward healing, not just for me, but for her too. For tonight, though, I'm exactly where I belong, in the arms of the man I love, planning our future, free from the shadows of the past. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.